There's a question every fisherman has asked themselves without realizing it, while spending hours staring at the water waiting for some sign of life below. What if there were a technology that could see every school, every fish bank, every shadow moving on the bottom, in real time? Today, that technology exists. And the real question isn't, will the boat find the school? The question is, how long can the school stay ahead? The answer will surprise you, because nature has answers that electronics haven't learned to solve yet. At peak collective behavior, a school of yellowfin tuna can move at over 43 miles per hour in speed bursts and migrate thousands of miles across a single seasonal cycle. Schools of anchovies have been documented covering stretches of 4 to 5 miles in continuous lines. Modern scanning sonar can map underwater structures and fish masses at considerable distances. But the ocean has depth, and depth has silence. That means nature's side in this contest isn't exactly weak. Let me tell you what modern sonar actually does when you turn it on inside a fishing boat. First, it sends sound pulses to the bottom. These pulses hit anything with different density than water: rock, sand, sunken wood, and yes, fish. The return appears on a screen as a cloud of colors, each color representing a different depth, a different density, a different mass moving down there. A well-calibrated fish finder can do more than just detect whether fish are present. It can estimate depth with centimeter precision, show whether the school is rising, sinking, or moving horizontally. Combined with a GPS system, the boat knows exactly where it is in the ocean, and an experienced skipper can cross-reference that information with surface temperature maps, currents, and bottom variations to predict where the school will move before it even moves. In high-level offshore fishing, that yellowfin, marlin, pelagic species fishing where everything lives in constant motion, this combination of GPS and sonar stopped being a luxury and became the heart of the operation. Without it, you're fishing blind. With it, you have a living map of what exists below the keel. But here's something most people don't consider when making this comparison between technology and nature. Sonar sees where the fish are. It can't predict where the fish will be in 12 minutes. There's documented behavior in various schooling species that turns sonar fishing into something far more complicated than it first appears. Yellowfin tuna, for example, isn't just fast, it's strategically unpredictable. When schools of tuna are in active feeding mode at the surface, that electric moment when they explode over bait on the surface, any sudden boat movement toward the school scatters them in seconds. Anyone who's tried to speed up to a boiling school of tuna knows it well. You throttle up, turn the bow, and when you get there, the water is smooth. They're gone. The sonar will still show you where they were, but the school is already somewhere else. This happens because sound travels very efficiently through water. The noise from a boat engine at high RPM reaches the school long before the boat does, and schools of highly migratory species like tuna, king mackerel, and Atlantic bonito have collective responses to danger stimuli that function like a single organism. When part of the school reacts, the entire school reacts. There's another factor the sonar screen doesn't solve: depth. Yellowfin tuna are documented diving to depths over 3,000 feet, and a sport fishing boat, even with sonar, has vertical range limited by equipment power and water column. When a school decides to dive deep, it disappears from the practical reading range of standard equipment. At that point, technology loses sight of the school, temporarily, but it loses it. Here's the technical diagnosis most fishermen ignore when discussing the power of modern sonar. The screen shows the fish. The fisherman sees the school. Instinct says, throttle up and go. And that's where the fishing fails, not from lack of technology, but from excess of haste. In species like yellowfin tuna and bonito that form large surface schools during feeding, the correct approach is counterintuitive. You need to position the boat upwind or upcurrent of the school and let the wind or current carry you slowly toward the fish, silently, without throttling up, without sudden engine RPM changes, without creating unnecessary vibration in the hull. Sonar gives you the location. But it's the fisherman's discipline in approach and silence that decides whether the line goes in the water or goes to waste. The same applies to species that form schools around fixed structures, like reef bottoms and shipwrecks. An experienced skipper uses GPS to anchor the boat at a calculated distance from the structure, not directly over it, because anchor noise within a schooling area drives the fish away from the fishing spot. Technology needs human reading of the environment to work well. So, how long would a school escape from a boat equipped with modern sonar? The answer depends on the species, the depth, and who's operating the boat. For surface schools in fast species like tuna or bonito, which scatter at the slightest acoustic signal of approach, the escape window can be seconds to a few minutes if the boat mishandles the approach. They vanish, regroup at considerable distance, and return to the surface when the threat passes. The sonar will re-identify the school, but the time lost in pursuit and repositioning is real. For schools that choose depth, and here the yellowfin tuna diving below 1,000 to 1,300 feet is the clearest example. The escape can last tens of minutes until the school rises again or moves beyond the boat's range. For schools around fixed structures, like fish associated with reefs, wrecks, and rocky bottoms, sonar works better, but the reading still requires an experienced skipper in anchoring and drift. That human factor is what separates a successful fishing day from an afternoon staring at the screen. Technology has radically shortened the distance between fishermen and fish, but the school still has the entire ocean as an ally and knows how to use it in ways no sonar screen will fully capture. The boat with modern sonar wins the location game, but the real fishing begins exactly where the screen ends. The true secret isn't in seeing the school, it's in knowing how to reach it without it noticing. And in that, patience and silence still weigh more than any electronic equipment. If you've spent hours watching the fish finder while the school disappeared beneath the boat, drop a comment, because that happens to every fisherman. And when it does, we learn more about the fish than any manual could teach.